Rajaram sir, welcome again to the second part of this interview. Thank you so much for coming into our studios today.
Thank you.
Okay. Sir, I would like to ask you today about how we can use AI and how it can have a positive impact on society, whether it be learning or any other industry. What are your thoughts on these?
Yeah, sure. So, if I may go back a little bit to the earlier part of the interview we had, somehow it ended on a note where probably I was implying that the whole use of technology in education and for everything else, the basic needs of life, is probably more detrimental than helpful eventually. And that's when our host Padmaja was asking me, is there anything good possibly about it? I remember ending up saying that, no, I don't think so, But then that remained as a kind of unresolved question. Then I remembered, yes, there could be possibly. And the reason probably it was there on my mind was that I had that idea long ago. My last talk in IIT in 99 was about, since I was working in these deep learning technologies, and there was an event about what is the future of education technology. There was an education technology initiative there, which had ended up with just video recording of live classroom, since I was working on this intelligent system which could extract information and infer from various media. So the idea I had presented was that the classroom interactions, the lectures, whatever you do, the teaching, how do you evaluate the students, all of that can be processed through AI kind of system, a closed loop system, which could be probably much more objective, less biased towards a student for their learning capability, etc. Because any competitive system is more about beating the timeline and more about memory and so on, which doesn't, that's very well understood all over the world, and through history people have learned, people in education have learned that it's not really a good test of true intelligence, though they're still struggling to define what is intelligence. Whereas this whole movement of artificial intelligence, a part of which is computational intelligence, which I was working on, which is today the deep learning technologies, is about trying to understand and make computational models of that natural intelligence. So today, when we hear that AI can beat humans in human faculties put into practice, like legal practice, reading legal opinion, which is applying whole lot of applicable laws and interpreting an event or a case and coming up with what is it about, the inferencing or medical diagnosis. Computers have, AI systems have proven to be better than, and in automated production or manufacturing system, it has always been so. Whatever humans are trained to do with a lot of difficulty, automated system can do more efficiently without getting tired, without getting biased, and so on, with repetitive accuracy and so on. Whereas when it comes to cognitive processes like teaching and learning, is where the AI could probably add a much higher value. That was what I conceived and talked about in 99, which is 20 plus years, 25 years ago. And recently, just maybe 3-4 years ago, when since I was running, I was rather facilitating a pro bono learning center for the so-called unemployable, which is like the waste product of the education system, the 80% we are talking about. So it was bottom of that pyramid I was dealing with, coming from rural areas. Everybody had a degree, most of them engineering, which means they have studied and gotten their degrees with English as a medium, but then they are unemployable. So it was a terrible thing, because first barrier itself is English language, and then of course the aptitude and whole lot of things. So I was dealing with a whole lot of this young mass, which was actually unemployable, going by the norms of industry. But then there is a bigger story behind that. I found that whole phenomena of unemployability came from the IT industry, because our engineering education system got aligned with that, caught on to that wave, whereas the industry itself goes through ups and downs, But once you aligned with only that industry, that particular industry, you cannot be going following the trend of the industry and go up and down. There is no down. People keep on expanding. So over a large period of time, you have much more supply of engineering graduates than the demand. And every time the financial market-driven industry takes a deep dive, falls through, you have a problem of excess, employable people or employment-seeking lot, qualified otherwise, but very less employment. That is what is translated into unemployability. Whoever I cannot employ, I call them unemployable. And
for
that to
your
me.
industry, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not like
it's
a
IT
universal
industry.
term.
It is a universal term, but it became a issue, a public issue, political issue, social issue seriously in India because our whole technology education got aligned with, latched on to this IT industry trend.
What you were saying reminded me of what Sonam Wangchuk has also done, where he took the people who didn't make the grade even at the
Exactly.
school level,
Yeah.
and he taught them different skills. Is that something that we should try to do more of? Do you think that would help
Yeah,
and make
so-
these people employable or at least become entrepreneurs or somehow?
Which is what I was doing for 8 years, and it works. And we supported, we made about 25, 30 startups happen. Because unless,
Through this
we have created IP, all of that. Then fifth or sixth startup invited me to join as a partner. They took one boy. The first employee was he was not even a graduate. He was a first semester dropout. Then two more. They could not believe what they were seeing. They invited me to join as a founder partner. I joined with a condition that I'll support them. They asked me to support growing their business in this domain, which I was doing mainly data science, analytics kind of thing, for which there was a huge demand, which was not catered to by the mainstream. And today that's what has grown into AI. So the base foundation of AI is that data science and analytics. If I could support them grow that business, they would support this learning center. They would recruit everybody coming from there. Then I joined as a founder director with 1/3 equity, with the condition that I would support them, their business growth, as long as the business supports this learning center. So I could onboard in 2 years' time. I was there as a director. I was overall 3 years. So in the 2 years' time, I have onboarded actually 100 such otherwise unemployable guys.
Wow.
So it was like a Gurukul, and then, and so on, without HR at all. There was no HR. No English skill, no written test, no rejection, nothing. Everybody became employable. That was the phenomena. The reason was very simple. You keep discovering what is required to be learned until you become employed. Proof of employability is employment, not somebody's certificate and interview and rejection. No. So you keep learning. That's it. And that is what all these institutions and education system is supposed to provide, which they are not. That is my harshest critic, which everybody knows now. And I'm very glad that there are more and more dropouts out of IITs also. Very glad. And COVID, showed very clearly what is essential and non-essential. I've heard that even in US universities, people who had taken admission, they started asking for money back. What for should we pay all that money? All that you are giving was information, which is available if you can deliver that through a video, And then at home now, parents had visibility to what happens in classroom.
So what about like the whole motivation, the atmosphere, part of your learning and part of your desire to learn and get better, get through those hurdles you come across while learning.
Yeah.
That part of that motivation to get through that is by looking at your peers. Oh, they're able to do it. I can do it too. You get that. And in the online classroom, I feel that is missing. You're just seeing squares in your Zoom or like whatever. How do you overcome that motivation problem?
So what I said was that COVID brought it to surface what is essential and what is non-essential, and whatever was the illusion about all this competitive thing that goes on to enter premier institutions, and then what happens. A lot of that got surfaced. E-learning caught up. So there was the upsurge of e-learning and so on. But then you discover what is the limitation of that and so on. Now maybe people are trying to consciously define what is the value delivered. People are asking, which was always a debate since long. Even with all these formal systems, competitive system, if all that you are delivering is only information, is it worth all this trouble, all these resources? You're right. Once they are in a place like IIT, they figure out their life. They understand what is the value of that. But the whole purpose of IIT, as it is communicated to the world and the rest of the world or the country has mandated it, is it served? Which is seriously questioned. When there was proposal and there was a ask for the sixth IIT, this was debated in Parliament. What is the contribution of these premier institutions in terms of their graduates working for the country? What is their contribution in our defense organizations, R&D organizations, private sector, public sector? So there is something which is the intent which is expressed, and then what actually happens, which is true everywhere, because we are working in the Maya. So if you are after the truth, you would be disappointed. But if you want to play with the Maya, you are welcome. There is enough redundancy. You can also be this, that, and the other, and have fun. But there are implications of that. Maya is not just fun; it creates miseries. And if you are a little bit on the side of truth rather than the facts, then you would be guilty of contributing to that grief. Person like Einstein is considered like a rishi. He was a drashtar. He was seer. He did not invent what he discover what he discovered through formal education, right? But towards the end of his life, he regretted having been a nuclear scientist. His whatever his position of power that was bestowed upon him by the society, by the country for his natural intelligence was misused to get approval for this Manhattan Project and this thing. People who actually dropped the bomb, I've heard there are enough accounts of that. They spent rest of their life virtually, miserably.
That's a fantastic example, yeah. Sir. I think there are many such examples
right.
of scientists
and
who
similarly
just
with
they're advancing science, but the repercussions of their work can be good or bad. So it depends on who lays your hands on.
So without knowing, is there good about it? Would you venture into inventing? But the system is set up such a way that you are innocent. Innocently, your curiosity, your faculties are engaged. It is rewarded. The whole system is based on reward punishment. That's why what happens to those top 5% who succeed by all the parameters of this formal education system will be another story. Not all of that is glorious.
With the AI, right? AI replacing a lot of other mundane work, let's just call it that, in multiple fields. Many people are going to lose their jobs, whether it be a full-time job or whether it be the number of gigs they get will reduce. So AI is also powerful enough to do personalization. Is there any way AI can help them acquire newer skills while it is replacing other jobs, or?
Yeah, so that's a larger debate. Probably in the earlier part of interview, this thing came up. Look at what is, the AI as a movement is happening, and there are some who have succeeded in creating demonstratable AI solutions, and everybody is watching them. So what are they going to demonstrate next, right? There are two of them today. One is this Elon Musk, the Tesla car, the driverless car. So which they have made enormous progress. Other one is our Google Assistant. So every now and then their CEO comes and does a public show of what is the latest feature. But if you look at it from actually what is it impacting in terms of life, obviously being Google and Tesla, the best of investment. Virtually they have got unlimited investment, unlimited support, and then the best of brains and technology have been created and deployed to deliver or develop what they have been developing. But if you look at its impact on humanity, what does it mean? Sitting in India, let's say, it's going to take away the Tesla guy's most intelligent system, which has probably consumed billions of dollars and the best of the AI brains in the world, is going to just take away driver's job. And in India, or in any country, what does it take to become a car driver?
You need at least a SSLC.
You don't need. That is one of the stupid filters, just like unemployability thing.
I mean, according to the laws, you need.
So
it's not a necessary
exactly.
for driving per
But
se.
that law does not ensure that he gets a square meal every day. So we are actually living with a lot of such stupid artificial filters, as if you have to provide a job and there are too many people, therefore you need a filter. You don't need. We all lived in last 50 years, right? And how many drivers of all the buses and private and public transport we took had a graduation or SSLC? Why do you need? How many auto rickshaw drivers? You don't need. So virtually every school dropout would come to city and they would become a driver or a garage mechanic or a server in a hotel. Similarly, who are the guys who go for front desk job? The girls. Least qualification, a little bit of communication skill, which is also trainable. And there are all kind of organizations, and there are these people, even with 10th, 12th, pass, fail, it doesn't matter, it's a job. And that's what this great Google Assistant is going to replace. And there are hilarious demonstrations of that. He demonstrated, the CEO is an IITian, celebrated IITian, he demonstrated how it can help you book your salon, appointment in salon. And somebody turned it around and said, you tried to book a saloon appointment in Mumbai, what happens? See, that just cannot understand our Indian language. Our fellow keeps telling you can come any day, anytime, madam, and it just doesn't understand. That's how we work. Why do you have to? It's a strange thing culturally. Why do you have to fix an appointment for a salon? Why do you need an appointment to go to a salon? So a lot of this is very contextual, but then why the whole of the world is running after this? We have changed our curriculum. The best and worst of institutions in Bangalore and around, they have changed their curriculum, they have influenced, the influential people here have influenced university, technological university, to get rid of all basic subjects in engineering, do only computer science and AI coding. They've done it, yeah.
All our infrastructure,
God knows what happens to our, Prime Minister's Make in India if everybody becomes a coder. That has already created us problem multiple times, this whole phenomena of unemployability. So that's why, that's a larger debate, it's highly questionable. Then they will have different stories to tell. What's your problem? We have freedom, we have investment and all kind of thing they'll say. Okay. So therefore, there is serious debate, and there is serious effort to bring in regulations for AI, ethical AI. Even Indian government is contemplating. And I heard that already it has happened. Amazon or one of those giants were sued by somebody when he discovered that his the recruitment was processed by AI system. And sitting in Bangalore, I had a contract to develop that kind of AI engine. We have done it also. Some recruiters use that. So now imagine, you think it is more objective. No, it is as good as the program that is written. It's just a code.
But even though it is just a code, it is more scalable and it can do a lot more personalization.
So that is where you have to find out, we have to define clearly what exactly is AI, what exactly are the features, functionalities, and where exactly is the right applications of that.
Right. I think, let me clarify. So I'm coming from the perspective of learning, because I am still holding on to your thought where you said the current education system does not produce employable graduates. So all this mass who are not making it into the cream, the 5%, can we do some personalized training for them through this AI? What kind of skills
though 25 years ago I was just part of that system, but left with that idea presented. But in last 10 years, having actually facilitated this learning center for the rock bottom of the pyramid of unemployability, it was personalized. It had to be personalized.
Yes.
It had to be personalized, and then peer learning, guided learning, self-learning, all of that. Discovered a lot of that. And when I started trying to understand, what actually is happening and is there any studies done of this, it comes close to ideal Gurukul. A Gurukul, ancient Gurukul was defined like that. Nobody was given any degree in any specialization. And nobody was assured of anything. You come, work, you develop life skills, you live together, then you learn. And some 12, 15 years of time spent in school, college is a long enough time to explore everything that is possible and then find out what resonates with you. But what have we done? So through my learning center experience, as I learned, I started, improvising on that, or it just happened, let's say. Whatever you learn starts manifesting in that. And of course, I had the background or, the philosophy of this Krishnamurti's foundation. He is a philosopher and spoken and done a lot in education in particular, because it is the education which, modern education is the beginning of corruption. When right from childhood, right from entry, you have this, competitive thing, and that competitive thing, the reward punishment creates much more complexities. It has created more problems than solution. When the children grow up with a lot of these complexities and a corrupt mind, then what happens is what you're seeing.
Now,
Therefore,
how do we scale what you're doing? You
so
did as a person for 100 people.
Yeah. So it was not scalable. it was not scalable. I got exhausted. I developed some, health issues which I never had otherwise. So I had to, slow down, stop, get out of that because, the proof of employability is employment, and then somebody has to create that employment, and there's an entrepreneur. Unless you actually have an entrepreneur and an investor who are with this purpose, who are aligned with this, whose heart is in business because they are serving a human purpose, it's going to be only consumed. They look at it as, consumable source of free resources or cheap resources. That makes this demand for scalability even more than it is actually. So on. So there are lots of implications of that, So the idea of scalability is what was on mind, when so I engaged Clearly Blue to help me do a business plan for that. Go into the market. This is an idea, but can you? And that is the time where e-learning, this was pre-COVID. So post-COVID, they came back and told numbers are much better because e-learning is what is preferred, mode even for the institutions and so on. Even before the pre-COVID, when they did the market research and then came back with the business plan, the numbers, that they actually believed in that so much that in lieu of taking their fees for doing this, business plan, they offered their services as partners. So they were there as partners for digital content and marketing. They were the partners. I am the technology guy, and a place was vacant for the technology development. I was this, the innovator or the mentor who had conceived that. The whole idea there is you have to keep the skill development, if you call it skill or competency development, aligned with the market. So somebody should be sensing the market. So once you are into a set curriculum of 4 years, 3 years, whatever, who is doing that? It is set based on what you sense today or much worse. So far it has been what is sensed 10 years ago, right? Whereas by the time they graduate, world would be much different, which is, you don't need to be anything or, you don't have to go anywhere to just know this. We have lived through this. What was relevant 10 years ago is not relevant. And with the AI and cloud and whatever else, it is changing so fast, right? So therefore, somebody has to be sensing continuously what is in demand or emerging by means of all information available, not just documents, not just JDs, for example. The least you could do is look at all the JDs posted in all the recruitment sites and then figure out what is the trend. That is one. Recommendation will come in. So it's a recommendation.
What skills are most relevant?
Yeah.
Trend of what skills
right.
are relevant.
And on the other hand, continuously assess what they are learning. And then
but
recommend.
We don't have control over what institutions will teach, right?
I'm not talking of institution. I'm talking of this, how AI could be deployed for a purpose, for a human purpose. Because this personalized, personalized in many ways, including their own psychological persona and all of that. The scope of what they should be learning should be beyond just programming or data science kind of thing. But eventually it should be evaluatable on a system. So AI could be deployed to continuously first assess the person. I was just formalizing what I was doing as a teacher. Any new kid comes, unemployable, in misery, depressed, whatever. So first you have to address those psychological issues and then like counseling, all of that, and then put them onto job. Relaxed, you just explore all these, it is non-competitive. When it comes to learning, what competition? How can you compete with somebody who has a better IQ? It's meaningless. It creates unnecessary. You are on your own learning journey. You take your own time to discover what would you like to learn and how would you like to learn. Everybody's learning mode is different. So whereas what this system, it is a formalization of this process. First, assess the persona, understand the persona, and then give them assignment in something which resonates with at least one thing they had done so far in their life. If nothing in they have learned formally so far in their life is interesting to him, then you have to open up everything else that is available. But if there is one thing that is interesting to them, some subject they had studied in some school, some college, some semester, is something they remembered and they wanted to follow, or they wanted to pursue that, you could start from there. Build the persona, understand the persona, and then initiate some, exercises, then assess how they approach. So you'll be assessing their, attitude towards their approach, and then the aptitude and so on. Then you can keep on improvising, which is what I was doing personally. as a teacher, on a very personal level, that's what I would do. And then help them how to find out additional information, where to go for information, how to learn, what to learn, all of that. So it is incremental based on how they respond to the, an assignment. All that could be done by a AI system.
Here
Assess.
I have a question. If you are assigning this to an AI system, traditionally you are the teacher, you are both giving a push model, assessing and directing each student into different directions. AI will be a pull model. How will AI know what exactly you like?
That had to be developed, a dialogue. This was conceived 5 years ago at least, but today you have ChatGPT. People are actually using it for a lot of such purposes.
Is just giving you answers to questions you ask.
Yeah.
But how does it tell you what kind of questions to ask? For that, it has to provoke that thought.
So, in principle, if you agree, AI is basically formalizing human intelligence, right? If there are few good, we are actually coming to the point of that. Is there anything good about it? So if we agree that the formal mainstream education system is not ideal, it also means that we know what is ideal, what is the right thing to do.
I don't know about that, but we know this is wrong, and it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I don't know what is right.
You go to the details of that. I have gone to the details of that. I've been a teacher, I've been a student in, the lowest end as well as at the highest end of this, hierarchy of education business. Right? You go to the details of what actually transpires in classroom, in assignments, in examinations, in evaluation. That's it. It's not a ghost-like thing, right? You've been a student and probably you've been a teacher also in some context. Only thing is we have never given attention. We just believed that you're being part of the crowd, whatever happens to the crowd happens to me. And then we live with lot of conflicts, lot of regrets, lot of whatever, pain, wounds and so on. So give attention what actually transpires and what was the expectation. Then you will see that expectation was never met from both sides right from your junior school. Then why did you go on doing it for 15 years? Do we listen to our children? Just think about it. Do we listen to our children? When they come back from their school first day and say, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. So there lies all the issue. Frankly speaking, where I am today with all these exploration, we send children to school because we don't know what to do with them.
Yesterday we were having this conversation of parents paying for their guilt. Send them to a class so that
you're outsourcing.
Don't feel guilty.
You have outsourced all your religious, and spiritual, requirements, and similarly you outsource your educational. Then what am I doing? There are lots of those things. So if you give attention, because AI or any automation means that it has to be defined. It has to be defined, it has to be standardized. Even the intelligence is a kind of algorithm only. So we are only formalizing natural intelligence. There is something beyond IQ. Why? The proof that most of the training, education, and what we call as intelligence that comes through practice is purely mechanical. The proof of this is that a computer can beat human beings, like legal opinion, medical opinion, even chess playing. Why? Because it's a mechanical process. By common sense of computing and using computer, unless it can be put in logical steps, computer cannot do, cannot understand, cannot execute. So if what we think as very complex thing, legal opinion and this thing, what is that computer cannot do which human beings are doing? It's only corruption.
Sir, I want to also talk about empathy and care and
exactly. So
you won't get from a computer. Corruption, of course, I agree with you.
Yeah. So therefore, if you actually break it down to that's why now they're talking of empathetic AI and so on. We are coming to that exactly. Where it is good is in this space. This very personalized, compassion-driven student-teacher relationship cannot be replaced by anything else. But as it is your whole scaled model, the scalable scaled model is not about that, right? It's about mass, and there is a timetable set for the masses. That itself breaks, negates the whole point of education. How can you make 100 and 1,000 and lakhs of children go through a timetable? If you have 2 children in your home, even twins, fortunately Padmaja had twins.
My brothers are twins.
Yeah, twins, born to the same parents, same social system, they would be groomed in the same environment.
Completely different personalities.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Then how can you have hundreds of them? And as a country, it is lakhs of them, millions of students going through the same thing, and you expect all of them to learn at the same time with following same timetable and get the same grades. What were we thinking? Obviously, we are not thinking. So, what is the whole purpose of your thinking ability if you are not thinking about what is happening to your children? That's what happened to us also.
So I heard
Why
like
are you
for
not thinking
40
about
plus
it?
years they never changed like the national education policy. So we were just studying what probably
Yeah.
your parents' generation said.
Yeah, okay, they changed because I have
They
been.
didn't change, I heard.
Yeah. So I have been part of changing curriculum in
Okay.
state as well as in IIT. But what does it change fundamentally? We are only upgrading syllabus. Does it change this fundamental requirement of the true education, which is to give attention to every child? What is it going through and what is right for every child?
But I
That
think
is
like
not going
most
to happen.
educational systems nowadays are all about making money. So you
Yeah.
have like 60 people. How does one individual attend to 60 people?
Exactly, that is the problem. So we are talking, if you know, incrementally there is something good about, personalizing.
Yes.
How do we scale? You have to use technology. That's what I was coming to. If there is something good, then it is only relative in the context of a requirement of a scalable and personalized, skill development or competency development, we could bring it in. The reason is simple. If there are really good teachers who can do this, that is not a scalable thing. Why? Again, go back to the system. What is the value you give to a good teacher? Most such good teachers die a poor life. They don't want their own children to become good teachers. And all, now the education as a profitable business, do you think that has tolerance for good teachers? I personally know, very good teachers who are, adored by their students. After retirement, they came and joined this competitive, training institutions. They died of exhaustion.
So I agree. That's how
Okay.
it has been so far.
Hmm.
But like now, everybody and their grandmother are like creating courses online, putting it up online. They are into their own business. So now, if they really are a good teacher, they have the technology and the platform to get through and reach more people. Don't you think that's a positive?
That's what we are talking about.
So
So
these good
personalizing,
teachers,
yeah.
assuming they also have a good sense of business and marketing themselves, they can actually be like, lead
That is
very
what we are
successful
talking
lives.
about. So, if you try to improve incrementally the system, it will only consume everything for its own purpose. For everything is, one more like a slogan or a, whatever you call USP like thing. But how much of that is actually put into practice, you'll never know, or you will know. The objectives are different there. As long as you are stuck with this timetable based, time bound, nobody is responsible for learning. By chance that 1% or 5% might get aligned with that and their learning will never be complete. Everybody learns. We all learned only by practicing, right, eventually. So then what exactly did we do in this 15 years or 16 years of schooling is questionable. What exactly did it do? It did something to us. Could it have been better?
Social skills, sir.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
So if you look at, because now more data is available, one of the data point is that in the US, because that's a role model for every country to follow. Everybody wants to become US. I have heard that teachers are not sending their children to school. They do home education, homeschool. So the homeschool is trending. Small schools, homeschools, schools without test and exams, it is trending. Why it did not trend 50 years ago? Because everybody had to go through this learning. The blinds are so strong. We all go through this, but we don't question. We want somebody else to create an alternative. Until then, we cannot get out of this. So, keeping all of that in the background, if this personalized thing has done some good, the one way to scale it is use system approach, right? That was that idea. The whole idea of that venture, the technology was that you have AI recommendation system, which is on one side, it is scanning the demand side. Scan the trends, do the trending and so on, then continuously assess the learners. Based on the assessment, you keep changing the assignments and, continuously assess and match that with the available, demand. Then you could recommend right candidate to the right opportunities and vice versa. In between, until they qualify for any particular opportunity, immediate opportunity, you could keep guiding them. Change. You have been learning this with this intent, but that is not the trend now, right? But with what you have learned, half of that is relevant for this new trend, 70% is relevant for something else. Would you like to change your track? Today there is nobody to tell that. So people want to preempt the whole thing. Therefore, no mechanical, no electrical, no electronic. Let's all learn computer science. Who is guaranteeing that computer science will give all the jobs? The whole point of AI, or preceding that was all automation, is to reduce human labor. As soon as you have few human, excellent brains who are able to code a lot of this, one AI system put on cloud can do 1,000 people's job, which it is already doing. Like if driverless car, which is only a software. Now the scalability is only about adding more servers. So virtually it can take away all the driver's job overnight. That is the point. So if there is a place, then within this framework, you could probably scale this personalized learning for employability. Not personal learning, go on learning. That is also a possibility. All those possibilities are there here. So the platform conceived is automated AI system which would be scanning the demand side, all the jobs are in which are in demand, continuously assess the learners on the platform, and of course give feedback to the teachers and mentors. All of that is there on. Recruiters are the first people who wanted to subscribe to this. Recruiters and HR. I was surprised. Why HR guys? Because HR guys could use this for assessment. Because they know that the way they are doing assessment is today is incomplete. Right? They can never be sure. Like in Infosys 10 years ago, not now, 10 years ago, the recruitment to application ratio was 1:1,000,000. How on earth human beings will be processing a million application? The easier thing to do is put filter. Degree, multiple degree, then whatever, and what degree, and then which institution. So everybody upstream will be spending a lot of money and time on building their brand rather than actual learning skills. And if you have a village idiot who has learned better from a good mentor, personally mentored, how will he qualify into this system? So if you put these filters at the time of recruitment, you are losing more than you may be, filtering in. You just don't know if a better, talent exists because you have put filter on all these, what should I say, the marketed brands.
These are all just ways to standardize things, right? So I know how to compare.
But who is assuring that, all these labels are true to itself? That's where the corruption is.
That is questionable, yes.
That corruption is official. Universities are making it formal to refer past question papers to prepare their students for examination. Past 5 years question paper, everybody discovered. The teachers, the tutors, and students and parents. University, Bangalore University, Vice Chancellor a few years ago announced, that we are the first university in the world or in Asia to have 25 years question paper. 25 years question paper made available to students. So if your whole education, graduation, is based on last 5 years to 25 years question paper, are we thinking really?
We are turning humans into AI because AI is trained on past data. We should be doing.
It is not even past data. It is question paper. Yes. So in banking they use, the CRM analytics users, RFM model, recency, frequency and monetary value of every customer. Based on that they would be running campaigns for upselling and cross-selling. This is that. All students, innocent students, will invent this RFM model. It is actually RFM model. The recency of questions, frequency of questions, and marks value of that. Based on that, you shortlist. You need to only mug up this much to get this much grade. The last bencher is only targeting 35. He will take guidance from all these, masters to identify, Macha, just tell me which question I have to mug up just to get 35%. And the guys who get 99 also are doing the same thing. The tutors are doing the same thing. So what are we talking about? If when you realize this, you don't want to waste your single breath on talking about this system. You would rather spend it on what can I do to my child or my neighborhood child.
But without a degree, that official piece of paper, you are worthless in the job market because of the current system. Now, however much you want to try to change it, it's not going to change in a few years, right? So you'll still have to do that route. And then you have to personally level up to do what you want.
So you have to again go deeper into what exactly, constituting this job market. What are people in jobs doing? I'll give you a statistic since from my corporate years 15 years ago. The HR forums, they do their own research, they publish their own things. One of the published thing was in any organization, public, private, small, big, mini, micro, only 5% of employees are actively engaged with the vision, mission, objective of the organization. Another 15% who have to work for them maybe will get pulled and pushed into doing something. 80%, not less, 80% of all employees are disengaged. They just do enough to take home their salary. So your whole definition of employment is 9 to 5 job, weekly off, monthly your CL, PL, EL, whatever, and then monthly salary. then yearly vacation, and some goodies. That's your definition of employment. And how many do you think have been employed ever in India? Not more than 18%. And what? Just about 17.5% people are employed by this definition of employment. Because of the comfort it provides, there is a rat race. You set up the rat race, so you have so much of mass available to pick up these few. And among them, 80% are disengaged in their job. If you can create a company and scale it also, where 80% is engaged, it would be a miracle.
That's a mind-boggling stat.
Yeah.
Sir.
Well, look at our governance. In a country of billion plus, 1.25 billion, you can't find 12 worthy of, the highest offices. What is meant by active engagement with the vision mission? So by this definition of employment, 80% is unemployable. And then within that, what do the 80 do who are employable? Disengaged. 85% of graduates from IIT eventually, sooner or later, end up in the US doing financial market jobs. And 80%, 85 or 90% of them virtually drop out of academics at the end of their first year. They understand this is all nonsense, some historical thing which is much below his IQ. They'll start figuring out where will he go in the US next. So lots of fallacies. That's what is Maya. And that's what is told. If you turn towards, your attention turns towards what is true, then you'll start seeing, look closely into any system, you'll start seeing the Maya. 80-90% of or more than that is Maya. So everything is based on some reason, but you keep on questioning that. And very soon you'll reach a dead end. Or is the never-ending, reasons are there. You will not find the truth.
So I think that is what you're calling disengaged, right? I am just working with the system.
That's it.
Let me do enough to get by. Let me do enough to get my, enough to have a decent life. What is wrong in that? I may have my passions outside of work.
Yeah.
What is wrong in that? This work is just something that's sustaining me. There are a lot of people who are like that. What is wrong with that?
But, you'll have to go deeper into that. If you realize eventually, again, we are probably going into another territory and domain.
Yeah. Okay.
This whole phenomena, everything is connected to everything else, right? Comes to your awareness. Then any transaction you do with a corrupt system, you are helping sustain that, which is creating miseries for somebody or the other. That has created spaces like this Greenpeace and the child labor and so on. We all would be happy buying and presenting pairs of jeans to each other, to our children and so on. But if you actually understand where is it coming from, where the child labor is used, some NGOs are trying to make others become aware of that. Where has it come from? Just like whether the food you buy has animal content or not. So once you become aware of that, then what happens?
Then you can bring about certain changes. It may not be.
Then why are we trying to even become aware of where is this coming from? Whatever I am consuming, where is it coming from? Whatever I am contributing, whatever is consuming my energy, where is it going?
I think a few people are. I wouldn't say everybody.
So few.
Few.
That's where it is. We are talking of few within few within few.
But sir, there's always a few, and the few will keep changing from domain to domain. But that depends on the interest of the few in that domain. Right?
So that's why we are going into a different territory with the limited purpose of, is there anything good coming out of, using technology for in education particularly? It could be this. If you have discovered a particular process which has worked for personalizing, for the limited purpose of scaling that, could you use this? That was, the thought. That could be good. It is not absolute good in any sense.
Good for a few more people than it was earlier.
Yeah, it is good relatively. You can't say a few people or so. So the whole idea of this AI system is making it adaptive. The rest of the world is not in your control, but can you have a capability deployed to objectively assess? Few individuals may be capable of doing this. Okay, that's not based on just measurement. It is based on, sensing, insights. So whatever can be, like in analytics we say you analyze a lot of data and find actionable insight. That is still computable. But the mind that conceives that does not come from formal process. So it's an intuitive process. But after intuitive process you come to an insight, you have to find out how to make it computable and then create that whole process for computing. That's what this AI is about. From outside, it is phenomenal, right? It looks like it is an intelligent system. But if you know what is computing, that is the proof that what we considered as most intelligent people were doing was mechanical. Do we recognize that? And if that comes to your awareness, then what happens? Then why do you have to train so many people with all this drama of education system, this rejection, the suicides, and all of that? You might as well deploy AI system. It is scalable.
Sir,
So that is the point. So if there is anything good about it, it could make this personalized process, much more inclusive, much more, objective, and scalable. So are we not moving into an era where everything is recommended to us? Everything, all our choices are driven by recommendation engines.
yes,
And
I'm not too happy about that personally most
Yeah.
of the time.
But we are. So when you are buying everything online, including dating, and it is humanly impossible to process all options available, you have recommendation engines. The recommendation engine tells, it will surprise you with some facts you have forgotten, you didn't know where you went yesterday, and the previous, it will surprise you. Last weekend you were here, you ate this thing, and walked on this street and bought something here, threw something there. You start believing that. And then that belief and trust extends to, accepting whatever it recommends. So this system is created by most intelligent people. It is that 5% who successfully passed through this education system, and then 5% among those who became, eminently employable, and then 1% of them who became, AI engineers or whatever, very intelligent fellows. So that intelligence is relative because the remaining 99.99 has no access to the information to judge whether this is genuine or not, whether this recommendation is true or not. So more brain, more money, more time gets spent in building the brand value and the trust. It is exactly like the whole education system formally is about making your student get the grades, not about learning. Nobody is responsible for learning.
Sir, you know that we are running a program for women who want to restart their careers after a long career break. Majority of them, it's maybe maternity. There are some of them who are taking care of people, some of them who are going to study, whatever. But they have been away from the job market for a really long time, and in the last 5-10 years, things have changed drastically. What are the kind of skills that they need to acquire that's not replaceable by AI? See, if they're going to invest the next few months learning that few skills, it should be something that AI can't replace within the next year. What do you think are current skills like that?
See, because I'm not deep into what you are asking, what all AI is doing, so one has to look at it, but I saw on YouTube someone, IIT guy, IIT Kharagpur or Kanpur guy is offering workshop on this. Exactly what you asked. He's offering.
To learn other than AI.
Yeah. So how AI will impact your work or job kind of thing. So some people can look ahead and talk about it. But it's like this, the Tesla, it is there in the public domain, right? And you know that it's going to be automated driverless car. Potentially, in the vision of that, it could replace every driver. Does it mean that nobody should try to learn driving now? It doesn't mean that, right? So if as a country, we are stuck with this kind of education, and not that, those who successfully graduate through this education are doing some great thing. No, I have no such illusion. But this anyway rejects more people than it accepts. What do those rejected people do? They find these jobs, a driver's job, a cleaner's job, a mechanic's job. They become that by practice, out of compulsion, right? So even if they're reading these news and everybody talks of driverless car, that does not scare him by choosing a driver's job now. It does not require any qualification, anybody's permission to become a driver. The moment you put a qualification and an authority to decide, then you're at their mercy. Mercifully, it is not there in India, because if they try to do, they'll get killed. But this is a mass requirement.
So that just means keep hustling.
Yeah. So whereas we educated people, we don't dare to go and kill somebody who does this. We'll be seeking another expert's advice. Sir, how do I survive this AI? You try to do that to a driver, they'll kill the fellow who has developed that AI system, which replaces his job. It's as simple as that.
there's no alternative to the hustle culture. I think that is like setting in quite a bit now.
Yeah,
Do
so
a
that
side
is
gig
so
here,
it
do a gig here.
yeah it goes back to discovering what is your essence, what is your essential quality.
I
Sahaja
don't
pravritti.
think it is so much as discovering yourself, as in discovering what can get you money if you're trying to make a living out of it. See, there's passion, where there's finding your ikigai, where your
Yeah.
skills, your passion, everything meet. But I don't know if all of us are always in a position to find ikigai. In our own lives, I'm sure we've gone through like troughs and places when we have had to just do things just to get by.
So it all goes back to your again education. What did education do to you? Could you have done better without this education or with a different kind of education? Or okay, whatever has happened is happened. That's why you have lots of schools of philosophy and spirituality, right? The present moment. Assess presently, where you are and where the world is. Then now can you, with awareness, choose. So if you are choosing consciously, then always it is based on incomplete information. You will never know the complete information. If you choosing it from something, they said your own voice, deep voice, your own light, whatever, what resonates, what gives you joy, then these calculation doesn't matter. That's why it is called immeasurable. The moment you start comparing, there is this struggle, there is this misery. That is endless. So are we aware of that either I am inviting misery or I am in misery for this reason. If I am not in misery, I am going to create misery for others. If I demand that I need this for no reason. Like most of the Silicon Valley and investors are like that. Investors and the entrepreneurs who raise their hand, okay, I'll help you multiply your money by employing some idiots in India. They have no clue to what it takes to solve a problem. Or what is the problem, what it takes to discover a problem, let alone solve. But all of them want super intelligent black box yesterday. That's the language they use. I want it yesterday. What is the objective? I want 100x exit or $100 million exit. I've heard this so many times. And I asked them, what exactly do you have in mind? What do you want me to develop? That you figure out. You are the guru. You are the intelligent guy. Okay, so that's where we are. So if I am aware of this, what it has done to me, and the first time I was not aware, and at least with experience I should become aware now, become sensitive to that. So anything which looks like a choice, these are like, you can say tips, if you will, since you are asking about that, because nothing can be taken as a kind of,
Universal thing.
Not only universal, the ultimate kind of thing. One has to discover for oneself, right? The moment you have choice, you have to think about it. Then it is not coming from, what may be absolute, on an absolute basis, what is the right thing for you, maybe. Because any choice is based on what? Partial information. If you have to evaluate, it is always based on information. Information is always partial. And the more we depend on digital information, if you are in that world, right from your search engine optimization. I thought it is some great technical stuff, technological stuff, some intelligent stuff. In fact, when Padmaja wanted me to train some folks here in analytics, she sent one lady. I started with this conversation because I've seen search engine optimization kind of thing in your list of services somewhere, website development. I just thought I can. Just like if you have worked in a company which does this, then you know it. And then let's start from there. What is analytics in that? Then as I started thinking about, having conversation, it occurred to me that is nothing but Tirupati model. Tirupati, there is a long queue because there is a god, some premium god, let's say. Then you pay premium, you can actually directly enter. That's a CO, right? So the Tirupati thing, as a subscriber to that system, it, but then you have to struggle so much to get into a job which, if they ask you a question about SEO, we don't know, I don't know. Or you have to go register for a course to learn what is SEO and to become qualified for this. And after that, you see that there are a million people who have come with same certificate. But you might as well understand, you can become aware that this Tirupati queue system or Dharmasthala queue system is actually a SEO. Then everybody knows what is SEO.
Absolutely, sir. I
So
think
that,
sometimes we use these fancy terms which are just confounding, but like when you give a simple example like this, the logic becomes apparent. How
so
it works,
AI,
at least in a broad
yeah.
system.
So AI is as simple as that. I found that this is what most appropriately describes that is AI is automated least common denominator of human intelligence.
I love that, sir. Thank you for putting it that way.
AI cannot touch the highest of human intelligence, because the highest form of human intelligence does not come from intellect, and that's what all these self-awareness or self-discovery, self-realization schools of thoughts are saying, individuals as well as systems. It is insight, and that insight comes when your mind is not clogged with intellect. But our whole education system is clogging you with information coercively.
That was a very insightful
It
conversation,
is,
sir.
yeah.
My last question to you is, what are you learning now and how are you learning it?
Yeah, I'm always learning the hard way, it looks like. Or rather, the hard things come to me and something transpired, I end up learning. So, I would, relating to your previous question, whether it is just not just for ladies or youngsters, it is for everybody. Can you look at whole moment of life? I'm borrowing words from other spiritual, talkers or thinkers like Krishnamurti and whole lot of others, and the same thing which is told by Adi Shankara, and that is there in our Upanishads, etc. So, without self-awareness, who am I? There is no basis for any understanding whatsoever. All your understanding comes through your filter of all the things you carry in your mind as knowledge, which is certified and rewarded by many agencies. The more it is certified, more it is rewarded, you think that it is very real. No, all certification is manipulated to serve somebody's purpose. We don't understand that, all online certification, everything is,
So I'm not
that.
talking about certification.
So the
What are you learning for yourself?
point is that, if you can see that, like the choices you have to make on what basis and so on, the basis of all the choices and leading to conflicts or not having clarity to choose is because you don't understand yourself. That's how it connects to. So when you are learning to get certified, to get employed in a particular thing, then you don't know what you are signing up for. You get stuck with that. Everybody say you chose this. Then you look back and no, I didn't choose this. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody marketed it to me. Everybody is who? And then nobody is responsible for that. Finally, is that you chose it. So the whole system does not give you space or not even a clue. That start with understanding yourself. Start for learning about yourself. That is learning. So if you look at this, wherever you are now today, start from where you are now and what is your requirement, your need. Why are you looking for choices and somebody else's guidance to choose? Start from here. Who are you? So if you can start from complete self-awareness, then choicelessly you would move. That is fundamental learning. And again, look at the word learning, e-learning. We are always positing something. By learning, we posit something. There's something to be accumulated. What if learning is actually about unlearning everything you have learned the wrong way? Who I am today, if you try to describe who you are, you will talk of all your experiences, your qualification, this and that. Is that who you are actually? Then that should be sufficient. You can become aware of that, who you are or who you think you are. But if that is not sufficient to choose to do something or even to decide on what to do next, what do I do with my life, then there is something you don't know. All that thing you think you know who you are is not enough. So that is what is suggested. In the awareness, when you bring to, most of the time we are not aware, no? We acknowledged it many times, right? We don't know why we are following this or that. We follow it with very limited objective of survival, and then the desire kicks in to get more out of that. Whatever succeeds, and you want more of that. You look around, you have a lot of examples of that. But we never have statistics of everything on which we base our decisions. No. It's based on recommendation from some trusted sources. And you never question that trust and belief. You question that. So the way to this learning we talked about now is, one, can we look at, can everybody look at this whole life as series of learning? Every moment I have to learn. Can you be in learning mode? While at learning, not even teaching, though they say teaching is a noble, that has to be a learning journey for the teacher also. He has to be learning about the other human being and about himself also. Otherwise, it becomes content delivery. An expert teacher is only doing content delivery. So without that sensitivity, when you just keep delivering content, what happens? It is just dumping. And even I have been probably that in an IIT mode of a great teacher. On what basis? I can imagine things and deliver in a very interesting way. At that time, emerging subjects like this, the deep learning kind of things. But only when you engage out of compassion with somebody who is bottom of pyramid of the unemployability, you start understanding what is the difficulty of learning. A lot of problems in why they want to learn this and why I want them to learn this. But can we question, why do you have to learn this? Is that the right thing for this particular life and brain, carrying this brain? What is the need of that particular life? Does it have to be coerced and pushed and labeled as unemployable and degrade and failure for learning this? So these are only pointers, that essential and non-essential. What COVID showed, that whatever was essential had to be provided and it survived. It is a non-essential which collapsed, which created so much of economic issues. If it was essential, it could not collapse, no? What is essential? Finally it comes to food, clothing and shelter. Everything else is, and that too only as much as you need. Everything else is fancy and non-essential. And now you look at all your business plans, all your digital marketing and content creation and marketing. What percentage of that is about essential? Tell me now.
It depends on how critically somebody needs that skill.
That somebody is only a micro segment of a market.
Yeah.
You don't have to go on, keep on doing this for your survival. Your survival is taken care, my survival is taken care. Why are we going on doing that? So many years ago, 10 years ago, when I was into exploring all these things in beginning, before I happened to facilitate that learning center, through which I learned a lot more about life. I was exploring alternative education for my daughter and so on. One research report I found in the US, because we are all following US trend in education, in industry, in employment, lifestyle, everything, that children were becoming more obese, more ignorant of the outside world, more homebound, all kind of issues were there. Then the research. So it came out with this, recognizing this phenomena called nature deficit disorder. You heard of it? Most US children are suffering from nature deficit disorder because you moved away from nature. All your education, all your trending, the employment, everything is about taking life away from nature. We as human species, as we are now, as we have evolved, and if you will, as we are designed now, the body, mind, etc., is not meant to be living away from nature. That few flower pots on my terrace garden is not nature. It's extremely self-centered way of holding nature in my pot, and then I need electricity to water that. So the NDD is about that. And then they discovered there are some natives, the Native Americans living within that continent. They have very consciously chosen to live their ancient lifestyle away from this. In those communities, there are no incidences of depression and suicide. So it all relates to the intellect and the pleasurable mind taking over life. That's the root cause of all depressions. And so on.
What learning journey are you on right now?
All this.
So in the way,
yeah. So, right. So if you can look at whole life as a learning, movement of learning, that is one phrase I am borrowing. But once you understand that, you can be in learning mode. Then you would be closer to your nature, and then you start realizing all these nature deficit disorder included. You will start comes to your awareness. And that could show the path, what is the right thing for you. So once you are caught up in this, all this goes on, the drama goes on. That's what they call as Maya and so on.
So engaging with Maya, whether you like it or not.
No, we don't know why we are not liking it. So if you start inquiring, looking into why you are not liking, what is the discomfort, if there is discomfort, then you'll.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That was a very insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing so much information with us
That
on
was
this
useful.
podcast.
Yeah.
I have so many more questions for you, but maybe we should reserve that for a different episode.
Sure,
So,
sure.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Please subscribe to the Edge podcast on your favorite podcast channel. We are on Google, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. If you liked this episode, please share it with your friends. If you have stories to share and want to be featured on our podcast, write to us at podcasts@adepticlabs.com.